And okay, we are live. We are live. Welcome to another live stream with me, Dr. Yewande. If you are joining me on YouTube, if you're joining me on Instagram, it's great to have you here today. And today we're going to be talking about a highly requested topic on habits that help me with mental overload, habits that will help you with mental overload. And so we're talking about what are some simple things that you can do to help with feeling like you have too many things going on in your head, to help with feeling like you can't focus, to help with feeling like you are struggling with memory, attention. It just feels like you're forgetting things more than you're comfortable with. And so today we're going to be talking about some simple things that you can do in order to help with that mental overload, feeling like you have too much going on in your head, and in turn helping you with your productivity and even with your mental and emotional well-being overall. And so if you are just joining, whether you're on Instagram, whether you are on YouTube, it is great to have you live with me today. And of course, to my replay watchers, thank you so much for engaging with all the information that I put out. So, if this is the first time we are connecting, I am Dr. Yewande. I am a medical doctor. I'm a founder of Cami Counseling Services, which is a mental health therapy clinic where we help a lot of different people, but primarily the people that come to us are high achieving women. They're women who come to us to help them with overcoming overwhelm, anxiety, burnout, overthinking, so that they can do the things that they know that they're called to do, so that they can actually do and show up as the women that they know that they were created to be, the calm, confident, in control of their thoughts, in control of their emotions, productive, getting things done in a way that makes them feel good. So, thank you so much once again for joining me, whether you're on Instagram or whether you are on YouTube. It's great to have you. Now would be the perfect time to go ahead and share this live stream. If you're watching the replay, you can share the recording to those around you who need this information, those around you who are constantly complaining about not being able to focus. They feel like they have too much going on in their heads. They may say things like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm tired, not just physically tired, but emotionally and mentally tired. And even if they haven't said it out loud, you see it in them. You see it in how they respond to you. You see it in how they carry themselves. Maybe they look stressed. They look tired. Maybe they become more forgetful. All of those things are part of why I'm doing this live stream today, because I hear it time and time again where people struggle with this mental overload. And so today I'm going to be providing some habits that will serve as solutions to help with this. So some of this might sound simple, but as I always say, simple doesn't always mean easy, right? And the things that are easy to do are also the same things that are easy not to do. So simple basically means there's step one, step two, step three. It's not this whole complicated process that I'm going to be sharing with you today. But just because it's step one, step two, step three, and simple does not mean that it's easy. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If it was easy, my mental health practice would be empty. If it was easy, doctors wouldn't have jobs. If it was easy, professionals wouldn't be available. Professionals wouldn't have work because everybody would be well. Everybody would be eating well, sleeping well. Everybody would have healthy relationships, right? All these things that I'm sharing today may not necessarily be hard things, but may not necessarily be complicated things, but they're not always easy. But I'm hoping that by the time we're done with our conversation today, you'll actually have some practical tools to make it a little bit simpler for you. One of the things that I love the most about the work that I do in mental health, whether it's I'm working with people with their mental health, with their physical health, their emotional well-being, is how practical the solutions can be. Because sometimes we hear solutions and it's like, okay, how do I actually make this work in my everyday life? But today I'm going to be sharing things that are actually quite practical. Because, like I said, if it was just about being practical, if it was just about having more discipline, everybody would do it. Everybody would do it. I'll often hear people say to me, "Oh, Dr. Yewande, I just need to be more disciplined." But usually it's the people that are the most disciplined, the people who are high performers in their careers, the people who know how to get things done. They've done such amazing things somehow are still the ones that are struggling to do the things that they know will make the most difference in their lives, whether it's taking control of their health, whether it's taking control of their emotions. They may be so productive and so disciplined when it comes to banging out their projects, when it comes to structuring their teams, when it comes to putting their proposals together, doing their presentations. But when you pull back the layers, there's a lot of struggle in actually getting things done, things that are meaningful to them, things that bring them joy, things that bring them fulfillment, whether that might be volunteering in their community, whether that might be writing a book that they know will bring impact to the next generation. It might even be pivoting their career and going into something that they know will bring them more joy or fulfillment. Taking that certification that will take them to the next level professionally, right? Some of these things get pushed to the back burner. Why? Because there is a block, there is a struggle, there's a lot going on mentally that it's almost like they say, I don't have the capacity for that. For some, it's even, I was speaking to a lady earlier today and we were talking about her physical health, a very busy woman with children, active children, who is struggling to just find the time to take care of her physical health, to take walks, to exercise, because from 5 a.m. tonight, she's busy, pretty packed, full. But the things that she really wants to do for herself, she's struggling because there's just so much going on for her cognitively. There's so much going on for her mentally. So, like I said, today we are going to be going into the solutions to that problem, which are some simple habits that I'm going to share that will help with this mental overload that's becoming so, so common in this day and age. So if you haven't shared, please go ahead and share this video because I know that it's going to be helpful for many people who you have around you, in addition to being helpful for yourself. So before I get into the actual habits, first and foremost, the one thing that I want to say, it's going to be so important for you to make sure that there aren't any medical contributing factors to feeling overwhelmed or feeling like you've lost your focus or feeling like your memory is being affected. I cannot count the number of times when someone has come into my office telling me that she feels overwhelmed, stressed, depressed, anxious, and then we go ahead and check her blood work, and it's a vitamin problem. It is a mineral problem. Vitamin D being very, very common. Iron deficiency being very, very common. And so before we get into talking about the habits that will help improve your mental overload, I want to make sure that you're also getting things checked physically to make sure that your vitamin D levels are okay, your iron levels are okay, your vitamin B12 levels are okay, thyroid levels are okay, right? Many of us are of a certain age where we've also entered into perimenopause. And with perimenopause comes other symptoms as well too, the brain fog, the challenges with sleep. So all of that can certainly be contributing factors as well too, and definitely do also need to be checked out with the guidance of your medical doctor, your primary care physician. Now, if you've been around for some time, you know that I will not go without talking about sleep. I will not go without talking about rest. Many times, the problems that you have with mental overload, with cognitive overload, feeling like you have too much on your brain, feeling like you are overwhelmed, is because you are sleep deprived. It's because you are rest deprived. Sleep is something that I talk about every day, multiple times a day, because many of us underestimate the impact of our sleep or lack thereof on our minds, on our productivity, on our capacity. Sometimes we say, well, I don't have the capacity for this, I don't have the capacity for that, but it's because we're not rested. We haven't given our brains the time to create that capacity, to process and put away information that's constantly coming at us. We haven't given our brains the opportunity to rejuvenate, to restore itself, our cells. We haven't given them the time that they need to clear out the toxins that have accumulated over time, to turn over, to restore themselves, to rejuvenate themselves. And these things happen in the course of sleep. These things happen at night. And so if you haven't worked on your sleep hygiene, this is a good time to reevaluate what are the things that are getting in the way of me getting a good night's rest. Am I falling asleep to the TV on? Am I scrolling constantly, doom scrolling at night, and then falling asleep at 2 a.m.? Are there things in my environment? Do I have the lights on? Is my room too hot, too warm? Are there noises that are potentially contributing to my inability to get a good night's rest? So many times when we are emotionally, mentally drained, it's because we haven't given our bodies enough time, our minds enough time to recuperate at night and to overcome the cognitive overload. So rest and sleep, something that I will always, always talk about because they're super important. So to summarize or to just recap with what we've talked about so far, we're talking about some of the habits, simple things that you can do to incorporate, things that you can incorporate that will help with the mental overload. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you've lost your focus, if you feel like your brain is not as sharp as it used to, there's certain things that we can do, put in place to help offset that. But number one is making sure that from a physiologic point of view, from just your vitamins, your minerals, making sure that you are not deficient in iron, vitamin D, some of the things that we talked about, talking to your primary care physician about supplements that you might want to take in order to help with some of that mental overload. And then, of course, sleep is something that I talked about. So, once again, thank you so much. If you're joining on YouTube, if you're joining on Instagram, it's great to have you. If you're watching the replay, it's so great to have you. So now let's get into some more of the practical habits. Let's get into some of the practical habits of things that you can do to help offset some of the mental overload that you are experiencing. The next thing that I want to talk about, so the first practical habit beyond taking care of your any deficiencies, sleep deprivation, the thing that I want to talk about is moving your body. Moving your body. Many of us have gotten into the habit of just sitting at our desks for 8 hours at a time, 10 hours at a time, without getting up to move our bodies. And when we're not moving our bodies, what happens is that we don't give the pumping mechanism of our body, so our heart, our cardiovascular system, we don't give it the opportunity to work enough to get the blood flowing through different parts of our body. And in this case, if we're talking about mental overload, our brains. Okay? Our brains need the flow of blood because blood carries oxygen. Our blood carries red blood cells that carry the oxygen, that carry the nutrients that our brains require to function optimally. And this is why when we say take your walks, move your body, set your reminders on your phone to get up every hour for at least 2 minutes, even if you're just walking in place, get the muscles going, get the blood going, so that your brain can get the oxygen and the nutrients that it needs to stay focused, so that your brain can get the nutrients and the oxygen that it needs to clear out anything that's cluttering your mind and to bring solutions for you to be able to think creatively. right? When we talk about mental overload, it's because our brains are carrying too much and have too much unprocessed information. We're trying to remember too many things at once. We're trying to make too many decisions at once. We're trying to manage multiple competing responsibilities, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our patients, our clients, taking care of our team, making sure that our boss has what they need, while also managing our family and our home lives. We're constantly switching between one task to the other. And so, if your brain is not optimally fueled by oxygen, by nutrients, because the blood is also what carries the nutrients to the brain, it's one thing to eat well, it's another thing for those nutrients to actually get to where they need to go to, right? So, when we say get up and walk, we're not just saying this because exercise is a good thing. There are real, genuine reasons for this. And so if you find yourself consistently stuck feeling like, oh, I have too much on my brain, I can't remember things, it feels like my mental system is overloaded, take a walk. And not just take a walk, make walking a habit. Make walking a habit, make it a routine, make it a part of your life. What a habit is a behavior that you repeat over and over again until it becomes automatic. And it doesn't have to be anything large, it could be small things that you repeat over time. Habits develop through repetition. So don't just say, oh, I walked today and I didn't feel a difference and so I'm not walking again. No, you make it a habit. And again, particularly this habit of walking, of moving your body, of getting your heart going a little bit, is so that your heart, the blood vessels, can get that oxygen to your brain and therefore help you with capacity, right? When your brain has more nutrients, when you're hydrated, when you get nutrients to your brain, blood flowing to your brain, you have more capacity to think. You have more capacity to process information. You have more capacity to store information. It's good for your memory, right? It's also good for your mood. It's also good for your mood because as you move, you get some endorphins flowing, and the endorphins are going to make you feel good. They're going to make you feel positive. I can't count the number of times when I have started my day feeling grumpy, or it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and I've been home. The kids are home. I'm working, trying to get things done, and I'm starting to feel the tension building. I take a walk, and I come back home actually smiling and feeling good because there's something about getting your body moving that causes the good hormones, neurotransmitters, all of that into your mind, into your brain to actually make you feel good. So we say move your body, we say exercise, not just because it's something that we like to say as physicians, as healthcare providers, but because when people come complaining about certain symptoms, this is a prescription. This is a prescription. So walking, making it a daily habit, even if it's 10 minutes a day, everything counts. So making walking a daily habit is the first thing that I'm going to share. Simple, a simple habit that you can do to help with the mental overload that you are experiencing. Now, the next habit is more of a mindset thing. So far we've talked about, making sure that things in your diet, so things you're not deficient in things like vitamin D, iron. Some of my patients find magnesium to be quite helpful, particularly if they're struggling with sleep. Again, have conversations with your primary care physician to first of all to make sure you're taking the right type of magnesium, because I've had people come taking the wrong kind of magnesium and it ends up causing upset stomach, diarrhea, things like that. So make sure you're taking the right type of magnesium to begin with. But of course, you need to speak to your primary care provider, making sure that these things are okay for you to take. Okay. So we talked about that. We talked about sleep. We talked about movement. Now, what I want to talk about is getting into the habit of pausing before you commit to anything. So, getting into the habit of pausing before you commit to anything. protecting yourself from the urgency of illusion, the illusion of urgency, protecting yourself from the illusion of urgency. Because many times when requests come to us, when messages, whether that's through text, WhatsApp, through email, it triggers this illusion of urgency. And I call it an illusion because it appears to be real. But if you actually give things time, you will recognize that nothing is going to fall apart if you take an hour or two, a day or two to actually give an answer, to think about whether you have the capacity to take on this extra request and give a response. Train yourself to pause, train yourself to say, not yet. Right. And this is something that I see a lot of people struggle with, especially people who are proactive, people who are fixers, people who are solutionists, because automatically when someone comes to them with a problem or asking for advice or asking for help, they almost reflexively step into that role of solution provider, even when they don't have the capacity. Right. So if we're talking about mental overload, the next habit that I want you to start to incorporate is the habit of pausing before you commit, the habit of telling yourself not yet, or the habit of vocalizing, let me get back to you. Let me think about it and get back to you. And really being honest with yourself, assessing whether or not you do have the capacity to take this on, or whether it's going to have to be a no or a not yet. And that is okay. That is totally okay. So about a week ago, I was out with my kids. We were taking a walk. My son was on his bike. My daughter was on her scooter, and I was walking behind them. Now, my kids have been home all summer. It's been almost 10 weeks at this point, if not more. They've been home all summer. And of course, as a mom, you get very used to recognizing what cry is an urgent cry and what cry is one that you can ignore. I work from home primarily, and oftentimes I will hear screams in the background, and I have to do that mental assessment as to whether or not this is something I need to pause and go address, or if this is something that I can just carry on working and address later. Most times it is the latter. Most times I can just keep going. But like I was saying, we were out on a walk. This was last week, Tuesday, and all of a sudden I heard this scream. And it's a scream that I knew right away was something that required urgency. So I actually ran. I ran to catch up with my kids, and I could see my daughter limping towards me. And so I looked at her leg, saw that there was some bleeding. We walked home. I looked at it, dressed, rinsed it out, put some dressing on it. She had a laceration, so I, closed it up and put a band-aid over it, etc. And she was limping for a few days, but is getting better. So she's doing well. But one of the things that she said to me probably about 2 or 3 days ago was, Mommy, I've never seen you run so fast before. She was like, when I hurt myself, I've never seen you run so fast before. And I had to smile because to me, I usually will not run unless there is a reason to. I usually will not put myself under the pressure of urgency unless there's a reason to. Maybe it's my medical training. I don't know. Maybe it's my personality. Having been trained to recognize what is an emergency and what can wait. We call it triage in medicine, where you are able to triage what needs to be rushed into the resuscitation room right away or what can wait, right? You have to train your mind to be able to triage what is, yes, I need to get this done. This is a priority for now versus not yet. Versus not yet. This will really help you with your mental overload. It will really help you with deciding, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this, but this is going to have to wait. Because what I've noticed is that people will take on all the issues that are being thrown at them and hold on to them to the point that their minds are completely full of other people's quote unquote emergencies. And I say emergencies in quote because it's always very debatable whether it's really truly an emergency, right? So that is the next habit that I want you to start to incorporate. The first is more of a physical thing where you're moving your body in order to get oxygen, to get nutrients to your brain, to help with processing, to help with memory, to help with problem solving, to help with, all the things that we talked about earlier. And the second thing is the mindset of training yourself to pause, training yourself to recognize, okay, this is something that I need to handle now. This is something that I will just put aside or maybe even pass on to someone else or completely say, no, I don't have the capacity for that right now. Okay. So training yourself to recognize what is urgency and not giving in to the urgency illusion. Not giving into the urgency illusion. Now, that last habit that I want to talk about today, if we're talking about things that you can do to help with that mental overload, feeling like your brain is carrying too much, feeling like your mind is overwhelmed, feeling like you are experiencing fatigue in your mind, difficulty concentrating, irritability, indecision fatigue, feeling scattered, feeling all over the place, not knowing what to focus on now per time, feeling like you're being pulled in different directions, feeling like you can't think straight, right? How many can relate to that? The last thing that I want to say that has really helped with this that I will call a habit is the power of protected time. The power of protected time, prioritizing protected time. This last 10 weeks of summer has been such an eye opener for me. My kids have been home full time, so no summer camps. We've been home with them full time. My husband mostly works on site, so he's out. I work from home, so I've been home with them full time, and it has been such an eye opener. And this is the first summer we've done this since they were young, because usually they're either in daycare. When they were younger, they were in daycare, and when they were school age, we would put them in summer camp. So this has been the first summer of us, and it's been intentional because I really did want to spend time with the kids this summer. There were things that I wanted to teach them. There were things that I wanted to just instill in them, values that I wanted to instill in them. So it was intentional, and it's been really amazing. It's actually been the best summer that I've had as a mother, believe it or not. It's been a lot of work, but it's been the best summer that I've had as a mother. So, but one thing that it has shown me is that I need protected time. I need protected time for myself because the number of interruptions that I get per day is absolutely, I don't know, I can't even put it to words. So you're trying to respond to an email and you get interrupted. You have a thought, an idea, and you get interrupted. You're trying to take a nap and you get interrupted. You're trying to do the dishes and you get interrupted. The number of interruptions per day has been so, so, so incredible. Now, having worked in the emergency department, this is not something that's new to me. It's not something that's new to me. Constantly, we were getting interrupted by someone, a nurse wanting orders, a nurse wanting us to review lab work or review an ECG. Even at work, it's something that I was exposed to. But again, as we talk about mental overload, as we talk about even the changes that come with aging, I'm not saying I'm old, but saying the things that come with being a woman of a certain age, all of those things add up over time. And I found that I was getting irritable, and irritability is a sign of mental overload until I decided that I was going to take decisive action and actually leave my house. So, what that looked like was asking my husband to work from home certain days of the week so that I could literally leave the house, physically remove myself from the house, and go somewhere else to work uninterrupted. And the first time I did that, and the relief, it was almost like someone had opened up a pressure valve in my whole system. The relief that came from that, actually being able to get work done without the constant interruptions, it was like someone had taken me for a massage. It was like someone had taken me for a full day spa because of the effect that it had on me mentally and emotionally. And why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because we underestimate the impact of these interruptions when we are trying to prioritize our well-being, when we're trying to prioritize our goals, when we're trying to get things done. The constant interruptions are having an impact on our mental load. They are adding to our mental load. So the sooner we're able to structure, and by the way, you don't have to be a mom or a parent to experience these interruptions. These interruptions come in the form of WhatsApp messages. They come in the form of Instagram and YouTube notifications. They come in the form of the bombardment of information, the news, right? You could be on a track, a flow, getting things done, and all of a sudden you get a report from the news talking about something that's happened somewhere, and it completely throws you off. It adds to your mental load. So you don't have to be a mom or a dad where someone is constantly calling you mommy, 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 mommy. You don't have to be that to understand the impact of these interruptions on your mental load. So the final habit that I'm talking about today that is going to help with your mental overload is prioritizing that protected time, keeping it as a priority, protecting it and guarding it, and recognizing that there's power in having protected time to get things done because that the your attention has become a commodity. Apps are vying for your attention. They are trading for your attention. They are competing for your attention, right? So your attention has become a commodity. So you need to recognize the power of protecting time, protecting your attention in order to get things done. And that can go a long way in helping with your mental overload. So just to summarize, I want to just quickly recap what we've talked about today. We talked about the fact that mental overload is a problem. It is a thing that many of us experience. We've talked about the fact that there are things that you can do about assessing your mental load. Once you've gotten out of the way any medical issues like vitamin deficiency, mineral deficiency, making sure that the hormones are acting the way that they want to, making sure that you're getting enough rest, now incorporating habits like moving your body to get blood flow and oxygen to your brain to help with the overload, to increase the capacity, to help you think and process things better, to improve your memory and your cognition. We talked about the habit of pausing, the habit of saying not yet, not giving into the urgency, the illusion urgency, the urgency of the illusion of urgency. We also finally talked about the fact that you need protected time. You need protected time to move the needle forward on the things that are meaningful to you, to move the needle forward on the things that are important to you. Protected time away from distractions, away from notifications, away from emails, away from people that are vying for your attention, that are struggling and fighting for your attention. So those are the habits that I wanted to share with you today. I would love to hear which one resonated with you the most. So if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on YouTube, I would love to hear which ones resonated with you the most. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you can definitely send me a message. You can send me an email. If you're on my email list, you hear from me every second Tuesday. You can certainly reply to that email as well. I would love to hear which of these habits resonated with you the most. And which one are you actually going to incorporate? Is it the walking? Is it the power of pausing and saying not yet? Is it protected time, right? Prioritizing protected time. And before I forget, when it comes to protected time, this is exactly why the Momentum Room was created. I started running the Momentum Room in January of this year for this exact reason, because time and time in my practice, I would see people putting off things that were causing them a lot of mental clutter. And I would say, okay, we're here. There are no distractions. Nothing else is taking your attention. So let's get it done. Let's send that email. Let's send that proposal. Let's respond to that text. Let's move the needle forward on that thing that has been occupying so much space in your mind. So the momentum room is where we come to do that 3 times a week over the course of 3 months. 1 hour of curated co-working time, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays over the course of 3 months to just get those things done and move the needle forward. So Tioluwa says, Tioluwa Nimi or Tioluwa, sorry, I don't know if that's your full name, says protected time. Tioluwanyokpemiye. Did I get that right? Tioluwanyokpemiye. Did I get that right? Please correct me if I did, but that's such a beautiful, beautiful name. And she says protected time. So thank you so much for letting me know. Thank you so much for letting me know. Protected time. And like I said, that's exactly why the momentum room was created. So if that's something you're interested in, I did say it right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that feedback. So if you are interested in learning more, and by the way, like I said, for me, I went to the library and I found it so effective. So you can go to the library, find somewhere that you can go to shut out the noise, turn off all distractions, put off all notifications, and move the needle forward when it comes to your protected time. It makes such, like I said, when I did it the first time, it was like going to the spa. It made such a big difference. But if you're looking for extra support, accountability, community, where we check in on you weekly, we meet 3 times a week for this particular reason, having protected time to get things done. Our last cycle of the Momentum Room opens next week, so check the link in my bio for the application process. Why do we have an application? Just to make sure that this is the right prescription for the challenges that you have. I never want to offer anything to anyone if they need something else. So they might need something else. And so that's why it's just a quick application to make sure that this is a good solution to the challenges that you're having. And we meet 3 times a week. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Mountain Time. That's the time that we're going to be meeting this cycle. It could change next year when we bring that back, the Momentum Room, but don't miss the opportunity. I've just seen how many people get so relieved. So imagine the relief that you will get when you finally check off that thing that has been nagging at you, that thing that has been occupying so much space in your mind, or those things that have been adding to your mental overload. Imagine the relief that you're going to feel and how accomplished you're going to feel when you finally close the loop on that thing that's been causing you so much discomfort, feeling like you're behind, the feeling like you're racing against the clock, or just feeling like you're making progress on the things that matter to you the most, and your sense of well-being, doing the things that you know that you are called to do in this season, and having that space, that time, that community to get things done. That's exactly what the Momentum Room is. If you're interested, go ahead and check the link in the bio, fill in your application. They close in a couple of days, and we would love to have you join the Momentum Room for cycle 3. It's our final cycle for the year. And I mean, I hope to bring it back again in 2027, but you just never know. We'd love to have you. So we've come to the end of today's live. We talked about practical things that you can do to help with overload. They are simple, they are practical, they are easy to do, but also easy not to do. And I would love to hear feedback on when you try, whether it's the protected time, power of pausing, saying not yet, whether it's moving your body, seeing what that does to your mental clarity. I would love to hear back from you. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you either on the podcast if you're a podcast listener, or in your inbox if you are subscribed to the Doing Well Digest newsletter. Bye for now.